Hello there, I'm Nat Wallen. Welcome to part 2 of the Charleston Overview Video Tour, where we showcase James Island. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, it covers downtown Charleston, and it's filled with really unique perspectives of our beautiful historic district. And, well, it's really the reason why so many people come to Charleston every year. And it will help you, of course, learn your way around downtown. So either go back and watch that video now or check it out later. There's a link below. And if this is all new to you, again, I'm Nat Wallen. I was born here, and I've been a realtor in Charleston since I graduated college in 1995. A group of agents and I planned this full series to help you get to know Charleston from a distance by giving the internet some context. So you'll learn a lot about Charleston. And the goal here is so you won't feel like you have to rent first and waste money when you come. And so you can make your Charleston moving plans with confidence. So, like I said, part 2 here is James Island. The full tour covers traffic bottlenecks, where the boat landings are, where to find most of the new construction in each area. It is very detailed, and well, it's the best way to see and learn about the area from a distance. Now, if you can stomach watching me for nearly 2 hours, you'll find the full tour link below. It starts downtown, and then we cover James Island in this video, and then Johns Island and Wadmalaw in the next, that's video 3, and then video 4 is West Ashley, and then we go to Somerville, and then we swing back through downtown and show some really cool parts of the bridge over the Cooper River. We then tour Mount Pleasant, Daniel Island, the Park Circle area in North Charleston, and then we wrap it all up with a tour of all of our beaches. And if you'd rather watch all of this in small doses, again, you'll see a link to part 1 below and a link to the full playlist where you can watch it in any order. Regardless, you should definitely subscribe to the channel so you can easily find us again. We cover more than just how to get around the layout of Charleston. We take you on fishing trips, we introduce you to local photographers, we highlight the best pizza places and local coffee shops. We love Charleston. Now, before I start, below is a link to the James Island landing page on my site. It's not like other sites. It only shows available homes, so you won't waste time looking at properties that are already under contract. And real quick, if you click this Homes by Price icon, you can click into any price point. And if you're looking for something more specific, well, then you can use this Homes by Category icon, where you can search for one-story homes or homes with pools or mother-in-law suites. Just do make sure to use this filter tool if you search by category. It'll save you a lot of time. Now, before I start, you should know that James Island is also connected to Folly Beach, which is later on in the series. James Island is also the main launching point for Johns Island and Wadmalaw, which we'll cover in the next video. I mentioned that already, number 3 in the series. Okay, enough housekeeping. Let's get started. James Island is 5 minutes from downtown, so let's take a look by first crossing the James Island connector. Here we go. The James Island Connector was completed in 1993, and it crosses over the Ashley River and also the Intracoastal Waterway. And the Intracoastal Waterway, it runs up and down the East Coast from Florida to New York. Now, here's a fun fact. I took a boat trip from our family farm on Wadmalaw Island. Wadmalaw is about 20 miles south of Charleston, and I'll show you that in just a little while. But we took our power boat down to the Keys for the winter with my grandmother and her 2 friends when I was 10. So they were like 70, 75 years old. I was a 10-year-old. It was the 4 of us. We slept in a different marina every single night. It was amazing. So it took us 1 day to get to Florida and 6 days to make it all the way down to the Keys. And that was just a great trip. All right. The James Island Connector. This was definitely a welcome addition, as this Wapoo Bridge was once the only way to access James Island. And before the connector, well, you'd have to take 17 across the Ashley River bridges here and then travel down Folly Road. And since it's a drawbridge that goes over the waterway, it opens pretty frequently for sailboats. And getting home if you lived on James Island was tough prior to the connector being built. And while we're here at the Wapoo Bridge, let me show you this public boat landing underneath it. It is a pretty busy boat landing, especially in the spring and summer. It is a zoo on the 4th of July because launching here is very central and people like to get out on the water and see the fireworks. And where you put your boat in really is an important variable to consider. This Wapoo landing is a good place to launch because you can get out into the harbor, go to the Ashley River, or go to Morris Island, which is a really fun place to picnic with friends. Now, it does get a little crazy sometimes out there on the weekends, so use caution with the little ones here. You can also go this way and get into the Stono River or cross the harbor and head north to the backside of Sullivan's Island and the Isle of Palms, which we'll see later. All right, back on dry land. And just to give you some sense of scale, traveling this way to James Island from downtown is maybe a 10-minute drive. And the connector is even quicker, so it's pretty easy getting to James Island either way you go. So let's cross over the Wapoo Creek Bridge and proceed. James Island is an island, and it was one of the first areas to develop outside of the peninsula. Many of the houses here were built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and into the 80s, and since it's an island, there's not much land. So most of the new construction here is mainly infill, with some small neighborhoods popping up here and there. And as I mentioned, the houses here are older, the lots are more mature, and it's a pretty popular place to live because it's sandwiched just a few minutes from downtown and Folly Beach. Now, some streets are better than others, and overall the feel is very local and pretty casual. You'll see a big difference when we head over the bridge to the other side of town in Mount Pleasant. But before we leave this side of town, let's cover all of the bases. So the James Island Connector will quickly take you from downtown to Harborview Road on James Island. Harborview leads to the majority of the waterfront properties and some of the semi-newer homes. This is the James Island Yacht Club, and it's a great place to plug in if your kids are interested in sailing. It overlooks downtown, and as you can see, the views are pretty amazing. Very few homes come up for sale in this area, and they typically don't last very long when they do. You'll notice that Folly Road, which is a main line that takes you all the way to Folly Beach, can have some stop-and-go traffic. This intersection right here, which leads into the Lowe's home improvement store, seems to have a wreck there every day. Now, I'm not sure if it's people coming off of this bridge and rear-ending people and people turning into traffic here. Anyway, be careful at this intersection and all up and down Folly. There have been a few people hit and killed on bicycles because there are no sidewalks, so keep your head on a swivel. Don't text and drive, of course, and watch out for people. Okay, sorry, that all sounds very negative. We just want you to know what we know. Let's cover some more good things about James Island. This is Maybank Highway. It leads to Johns Island, which we'll visit next. Now, this neighborhood is called Riverland Terrace, and it has a beautiful canopy of oak trees. There's a public boat landing right beside the fire station at the end of Plymouth Street. Now, this landing is not as busy as the Wapoo landing, and it's still pretty central for launching your boat, but the current can be pretty quick. And if you're not a boater, do consider becoming one, because Charleston is a beautiful place, especially from the water. Now, this is also a great hub for nightlife. My wife and I typically prefer this small art house cinema to the other larger movie theaters, and then we grab some dinner here at Crust. They have great wood-fired pizza. There are also a few bars, and you can jump across the street to the Poorhouse for good live music. This whole area is a good spot, and if you like going to the movies, definitely check out the Terrace Theater. They serve wine and beer, and it's just a good option if you like indie films. Now let's go take a look at the James Island County Park. We'll take Maybank like we're going to Johns Island, and we'll pass by the municipal golf course, which I think of as a course that Happy Gilmore might like playing on. It's just a little more laid back than most golf courses. And then we'll turn left on Riverland Drive, and we'll go a mile or two down. It's down on the right-hand side. James Island County Park, it's great. It's a 643-acre park that sits along the Stono River. They have a campground, they have a few cabins, they have several parks, and a pretty popular dog park. You can rent kayaks, paddleboards, and there's also a big climbing wall. They also have a water park there, which is a great place to take the kids in the summertime. And during the holidays, they have a Festival of Lights tour and a winter wonderland. It's very popular, as you can take this 2-mile driving loop and marvel at the massive Christmas tree light themes. Now let's take a quick look at the layout of James Island. As discussed, we can get on the island from the connector or by taking the Wapu Bridge via Folly Road through West Ashley. Now, if we take a left at the bottom of the Wapu Bridge here, this will lead us into the Country Club of Charleston. 2019 was the first year that the Country Club sponsored the Women's U.S. Open PGA Tournament.
At the par 5, third shot.
She has been our leader in driving distance this week.
Jarena Pillar has the best round on the golf course, up ahead at 12. She's 5 under for the day.
And she's already gotten past the difficult stretch here on the first stretch on the back 9, 10, and 11.
This for par for J. Marie Green at 2. Strong.
Really strong. The last 3 groups are already 5 over par, and they're just getting underway.
The homes here are very exclusive and the neighborhood is not very big, so, well, supply and demand is real in the Country Club. There are beautiful homes here that overlook the Intracoastal Waterway and also golf course properties as well. And if you're interested, we can check what's there for you, no problem, and we typically do keep a list of people that may sell, so just let us know. Maybe we can find something not on the market. Now, back at the foot of the Wapu Bridge, if we were to bear right here on Maybank Highway, this will lead us past the Terrace Theater and toward Johns Island. So think about James Island like this. Folly Road is like the spine of James Island. It runs right up the middle. And Riverland Drive is like the right arm, and it runs along the right-hand side of James Island here, and it overlooks Johns Island. This is again where you'll access the James Island County Park and some other small infill newer subdivisions. And Harborview Road is like the left arm, and Fort Johnson connects, and it's kind of like the elbow of James Island. That's how I think about it. And with that said, let's turn left off of Folly and take another look at the Harborview Road side. We'll go past the James Island connector here, and we will wind our way around. This is Point Verona. It's a small gated community overlooking the harbor. I sold most of these for the original developer. This is one of 3 gated communities on James Island. The other is over toward Lowe's, where I warned you to be careful of the wrecks that happened. And then there's Little Oak Island, which has a Folly Beach address, but it's technically James Island because it's right before the bridge over the Folly River. To our left, you can see downtown, and continuing down will lead us to some older neighborhoods like Lawton Bluff and Battery Point here along the creek. Stiles Point Plantation is further down Harborview on the left-hand side. There's a newer neighborhood called the Village of Stiles Point that opened up in 2018. Homes started around 600,000 here when they were first built, and it connects with the older and more mature Stiles Point Plantation. And as we head further down Harborview Road, it will lead us toward Eastwood, which is where the yacht club is that we talked about earlier. Fort Johnson tees off at the end of Harborview, and if we were to take a right here, it will lead us back toward Folly Road. So this is the elbow that I was mentioning. Along the way, we'll see more of what James Island homes are like that were built in the 60s and 70s. This is James Island Charter High School. My oldest daughter Bella goes here. We live in West Ashley near the Northbridge area, and the commute is about 20 minutes each morning. Further down, we could bear off to the left, which will take us into Seaside Plantation. It was built in the early 2000s and has a few different subsections with larger homes toward the back. And again, most of the new offerings on James Island are just small pockets of land that open up periodically because, well, there's just not too much space for urban sprawl here, not like the other side of town. And this is why most of the homes here on James Island are found in communities without HOAs, and like I said, are filled with ranch-style properties and homes built in the 70s and 80s. Now, we may be able to find a newer home here, but do be prepared for some older homes that feel much more established than other parts of town. Long story short, if you like more organic and want to be close to Folly Beach, then James Island is a good choice. All right, let's push out toward the outskirts of James Island where we'll almost touch on Folly Beach. So as you head closer toward the ocean, you'll start to feel the salt in the air, and you'll see a slight change in the landscape with big marsh views on both sides of Folly Road. Now this is where James Island starts to get really local. In fact, you'll see this old boat getting painted over and over again, almost every week, sometimes twice a week. There are probably 1,000 coats of paint on this old boat. Now I mentioned Little Oak Island earlier, which is a gated community right outside of Folly Beach. There are condos here, there's a pool, there are tennis courts. Now, Little Oak Island, it's not very large, but it is pretty unique because it has easterly sunrise and westerly sunset views too. Now, this is the tip of the island, which looks out toward the Morris Island Lighthouse, which is right off of the tip of Folly Beach. It's on Morris Island, which is sandwiched between Sullivan's Island and Folly. Now let's swing around to the other side of the creek and look at Oak Island. I just closed on the one with the pool right here next to the tip. And in fact, I've sold this home 4 times in my career, which is sort of a record for me. I got into real estate in 95, and I think the first time I sold it may have been 99. Now, Oak Island, it is not a gated community like Little Oak is, and there's a nice mix of older 60s ranch-style homes, some houses from the 80s, like the one I just sold, and more beachy, elevated coastal homes as well, so it's a mix. Now, keep in mind, when you're buying a ranch-style home or anything low to the ground here that's near the water, well, you have to look closely at the flood elevation certificate because many of these older homes that were built in the 60s, in fact, all of them, were built what's called pre-FIRMA, which is prior to flood maps. So it's important to get a new certificate and not rely on anything older than a year or two, which we can help you with. It's important to know where the bottom of your first floor is with regards to sea level. So if you choose to live on the marsh, we can help you with that. Now, both sides of Oak Island have water access, but it is very tidal here as these salt marshes empty out at low tide, which is why you see all these boat lifts on the docks here. Now let's take a look at a really unique restaurant on the other side of Folly Road. It's right on the creek. You're going to like this. If you want fresh oysters, shrimp, and a very southern experience, you absolutely should go to Bowen's Island. You can watch live bands right on the dock there. And whatever you do, don't dress up. Let me show you. All right, Bowen's Island. It is a great place for local seafood, and you should go if you want to really get a feel for what the low country's like. Now, I'm going to hold off and show you Folly Beach in the last video of this series where we cover all of the beaches. So we'll start up north at Dewey's Island in that last video, and then we'll hit the Isle of Palms, and then we'll make our way south to Sullivan's Island. We're not going to go to Morris Island because you have to get there by boat. It's uninhabited, but a lot of people go there on the 4th of July and just every weekend that it's warm. And then we'll touch on Folly here, and then we'll go further south toward Kiowa and Edisto. And all in all, James Island has lots of water. It's an island, and it's kind of a diamond shape with Folly Road splitting everything down the middle, like I said. And if you want to take an easy tour of not just James Island, but the entire area, well, you'll see this self-guided GPS tour link on every property and on every landing page of the natwallen.com site. It's a PDF that we created that will take you on your own loop tour of Charleston using the GPS in your cell phone. So download it if you're planning a trip here and you want to explore Charleston on your own. It's a very efficient loop and it'll show you all of Charleston. Okay, that was James Island. The next one, video 3, is Johns Island and Wadmalaw, which are more rural. Again, there's a link to the full tour below and also the playlist, so watch it however you like. And do feel free to use my website again at natwallen.com. There's a link there too as well. It has everything for sale with all companies, and don't worry, we don't force registration like most sites, so you'll never be forced to give us your email. Now, if you do register, you'll get some helpful tools, but again, no worries, we don't spam people ever. Now, before I go, I do have one small favor to ask. If you liked this, would you mind leaving me a small comment? Just say hi and click the like button, subscribe and click the bell, and even share this series. I know that's a lot to ask, but if you do all these things, this will help people like yourself find this channel, and that would be very helpful to me and my family and the group of agents that made this. And please don't be afraid to leave feedback if you live here and feel we missed something, or talk about any future tours you'd like to see as well. Thanks again, and don't forget to watch the other videos in the series. Take care. Bye.